Good evening. Welcome to the July 20th Council meeting. And we have a very special treat this evening. We're going to be led during the flag salute by Boy Scout Troop number 3993, a brand new troop in Chino. Boys?
Scouts attention. Scouts forward. Mayor, council members, thank you for having us today. We are a new troop. We are Troop 3993 from Chino, and our charter is New Beginnings Church right here on Riverside. So we want to thank you for having a special treat for us. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if you please rise. If you're not in uniform, please put your hand right over your heart. For those in uniform, please follow us. Scout salute. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Scouts 2. Scouts turn. Scouts dismissed.
They're going to have you sit.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Excellent job. They're going to be rejoining us and sitting on the floor here. I guess there's a requirement that they have to be with us for a half an hour. Okay, the first item we have under ceremonials is a proclamation. July is Parks and Recreation Month. We're going to be presenting a video highlighting Chino's exceptional parks and recreation programs, as well as the staff and community services and public works who work so hard to provide the Chino community with excellent service all year long. If you'll please watch the video. Great job, great job. Kevin, I'd like you to come up, please. I'm going to have you hold this. Don't talk. It's dangerous giving Kevin a microphone. Kevin, I'd like to present. No, I have a mic.
Oh, you have a
Yes.
mic. You deserve two.
Oh, my goodness. I'd like to present this proclamation to you. It says, whereas statewide public opinion research indicates that 98% of California households visit a local park at least once a year. 2 in 3 households visit a park once a month. 50% of households participate in an organized recreation program, and most park use is with family and friends. Parks and recreation programs are vital to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in Chino and contribute to the economic and environmental well-being of our community. Parks and recreation programs build healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease and improves the mental and physical health of all citizens. Parks and recreation programs provide positive alternatives for children and youth during non-school hours to reduce crime, helping youth develop and grow into healthy, productive adults. And whereas in Chino we are fortunate to have over 250 acres of parkland and open space, which provides opportunities for our community to celebrate the outdoors. And whereas the Chino Community Services Department has adopted the California Park and Recreation Society's Parks Make Better Life slogan and logo to promote the benefits of parks and recreation. Since 1985, July is celebrated. That's not 1985. I think it's supposed to be 1885. Anyway, July is celebrated across the nation as Parks and Recreation Month. Maybe it is 1985. Anyway, and whereas the City of Chino urges all residents to recognize that Parks and Recreation enriches the lives of its residents and visitors, as well as adding value to the community's homes and neighborhoods, making Chino a great place to live, work, and play. Now, therefore, I, Eunice Emiloa, Mayor of the City of Chino, do hereby proclaim July 2017 as Parks and Recreation Month in the City of Chino and urge all residents to enjoy, recognize, and help promote the benefits derived from quality programs, services, and parks, which provide something of value to everyone. Kevin?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kevin Cisneros. I'm a City of Chino Community Services Commissioner and this year's chairperson, along with my fellow commissioners who decided to hide in the back, but I'm not going to allow them to get off that easy. Commissioner Jim Espinoza, Commissioner Brenda Strong, Commissioner Bernice Gray, and Commissioner Linda Takeuchi. Please say hello to them. Thank you. And also, not to be overlooked in any way, our phenomenal, just a small portion of our City of Chino Community Services, and I believe, which department are you with? Parks and Recreation, Grounds and Parks and Recreation, our wonderful City of Chino staff members. Let's give them a hand as well. Ladies and gentlemen, July is Parks and Recreation Month, and this year's theme is get your play on. Play is an important part of the overall well-being of this community. We want to encourage everyone to get your play on by visiting a park in Chino and participate in the different recreation activities offered by the Community Services Department. The Community Services staff will display this poster at all of the Chino facilities as a reminder to the community to get out and play this summer. Community Services and Public Works staff impacts people's lives every day and continue to do so, not only in the month of July, but 12 months a year. Up here, as I mentioned before, is a small portion of the men and women who take care of the parks and provide recreation services throughout the year for Chino residents. And we encourage, again, everyone to visit a park or facility in Chino during the month of July to learn about all of the programs and services that are offered. So thank you, Mayor Ulloa and council members, for your continued support in providing the toll and the best programming, parks, and facilities in the Inland Empire. Thank you very much.
And thank all of you and your fellow workers for all of the work that you do on behalf of our residents. It really means a lot to everyone. Thank you so much. Next, we have recognition of Chino Armed Forces banner participants. Since 2007, the City of Chino has honored over 330 soldiers through the Armed Forces Banner Program. These banners hang proudly throughout our community and serve as a reminder of each soldier's service to our country. Tonight, we're going to recognize 2 local heroes and present them with their banners. First, I would like to call up Jacob R. Estrada. Mr. Estrada. Jacob grew up in the city of Chino and graduated from Chino Hills High School. He joined the U.S. Marine Corps in 2010 and served until 2014. He achieved the rank of corporal. He was stationed at Camp Pendleton and completed tour of duty in Afghanistan. Jacob received 2 Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medals, and he was named Marine of the Year. It's way... What happened? Jacob, it's truly an honor to present you with this certificate of recognition, which reads, presented to Jacob R. Estrada in honor and recognition of your dedication and commitment to our nation. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I'd also like to present you with the banner that hung in our city, and I'd like you to say a few words.
Thank you, guys. I just wanted to thank my parents for supporting me. And yeah, thank you.
Would you like to bring them up and introduce them?
Yeah, sure.
Come on up.
So this is my mom, Lorraine Estrada. She's a real estate agent, so if you're trying to sell your house, buy her house.
Whoa.
And this is my dad, Robert Estrada. He's a power lineman instructor down in East LA Skill Center. So if you're trying to be a power lineman, put your name on the wait list. You'll be on there for a couple years. So,
Jacob, thank you so much for your service. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. Next, I'd like to call up Emmanuel Zubiha. Zubia. This is one of those nights. And if the family would come up too. Emmanuel grew up in the city of Chino and graduated from Chino High School. He joined the U.S. Army in 2009 and achieved the rank of Specialist E4. He was stationed at Fort Lewis, Washington, and completed a tour of duty in Kandahar province of Afghanistan. Emmanuel received an Army Commendation Medal. After serving in the Army, he donated a kidney to his mother. He's now married, and he and his wife are expecting their first child. Emmanuel. It's an honor to present you with this certificate of recognition in honor and recognition of your dedication and commitment to our nation. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And your banner. And if you'd like to introduce your family and say a few words.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the city of Chino for their support, and I was proud to have my banner hang up there, and driving by and seeing it was a great honor. Thank you. And this is my wife, Geneva Martinez, and my mom, Lucia Zubia, and my sister, Lucy Zubia.
My gosh. Thank you so much. And you donated one of your kidneys to your mom.
Yeah, last year my mom was in kidney disease, so I took it among myself to give her my kidney, and now she's living strong and nice and healthy.
Wow, what a son. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Congratulations on your new baby, too. Congratulations. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. Wow. Is that the last one? Okay. All right. Now we have a big presentation. I'd like to call up Fire Chief Tim Shackelford. He's going to introduce the new Chino Valley Fire District members. And there's a whole bunch of them. These are the guys that respond when you have a medical issue or a fire. Tim?
Slide over here out of the way.
Yeah.
Mayor Lowe and Council, members of the public, good evening. It's my honor and privilege tonight to introduce the 9 newest members of the Chino Valley Fire District. These gentlemen that you see before you tonight started the recruitment process with us fall of last year, a very intense process, multiple steps. We actually had 13 vacancies that were created through retirement of other personnel, and we were only able to fill 9 of those positions. These are the 9 gentlemen that met our very high standards. So I'd like to introduce them. We have J.T. Bosler. J.T. was a paramedic with Mercy Ambulance and a reserve firefighter for Julian Fire District. He lives in Murrieta with his wife. Travis Foster. Travis worked for the Upland Fire Department for 14 years, reaching the rank of captain. Travis lives in Temecula with his wife and children. Trevor Hatton. Trevor worked for CAL FIRE for a few years, as well as a paramedic in the Middle East. Trevor lives in Riverside with his wife and son. Anthony Killian. Anthony Killian. Anthony worked for the Rialto Fire Department and also served our country in the United States Air Force. Anthony lives in Irvine. Brian Neely. Brian worked for CAL FIRE for 13 years. Brian lives in San Marcos with his wife and children. Aaron Patty. Aaron worked for CAL FIRE for a few years and served our country in the United States Marine Corps. Aaron lives in Calamasa with his wife and children. Kenny Skinner. Kenny worked as a paramedic for AMR Ambulance in the Rancho Division. Kenny lives in the city of Rancho Cucamonga. Garrett Todd. Garrett worked for the Kennewick Fire Department, which is in Washington, for the past few years. He lives in Long Beach and will be getting married in August.
All right.
And finally, we have Robert Weber. Robert worked for CAL FIRE for 9 years. He lives in Trabuco Canyon with his wife and children.
Great.
So these gentlemen, you may notice their uniforms are a little different. They don't have their badge. They will receive their badge later this week. We have a badge pinning ceremony scheduled for them at the completion of their training. They will be completing a 4-week orientation process with the fire district, and then as soon as Saturday, some of them will be out serving our community. We look forward to having them part of the organization. These are some of the best and the brightest that are available in the fire service, and they are very proud to serve the city of Chino. Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you for being here this evening, and welcome to an absolutely wonderful community. We look forward to seeing you in a good way, not through an emergency. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good luck on your marriage. Thank you very much for being here this evening.
Some tips, some of the guys that have been married for a while with how to phrase things when they're lined up.
Oh, is that what they're like? Yes, ma'am. A happy wife is a happy life.
Talking about what to wear and how to
What
answer
to-
questions as they come up. So some of the guys that have been married for a while come out with that.
Very good. I think you'll find your relationship with the police department also is going to be fantastic. Very unusual. So thank you for being here this evening. I apologize that it's so warm in here. They've had the air conditioning going all day, but I guess they accidentally turned the heater on first. So, but the air conditioning's on now. It's Matt's fault.
Buck stops there.
The buck stops there. Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda is public communication. I'd like to call up Pastor Victor Ruiz from the Living Word Assembly, who's going to provide us with an invocation. I'd invite all of you who wish to join us in standing for the prayer.
Mayor, thank you for letting me represent the faith community of Chino. Would you bow your heads with me and pray? Father, on behalf of all who are gathered here today, we're grateful for your many blessings upon our community of Chino. Thank you for the many who work so hard to make Chino the wonderful community it is. Your word says that as citizens, we ought to obey the governing authority, since you've established and put them in place to promote peace, order, and justice. Therefore, I pray for our Mayor Ulloa, for the various level of city officials, in particular for this assembled council, and I'm asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues that affect our community. I pray you would sprinkle the various conversations that must be had with your love and with your grace. I pray that all decisions be made with a sense of welfare and the true needs of all the residents of Chino, and not only a vocal few. I pray that you would give the various committees and groups of people of Chino the ability to work together in harmony, even when there is honest disagreement. I pray for personal peace in their lives and joy in their task of serving. I pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give them an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Chino. It's in your most blessed name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Okay. Now is the time for the general public to address the council on any issue that is not on the agenda. We do have a few written requests to speak, which I will call on first. I must remind you that the council cannot take action on anything that's not on the agenda, but we're happy to hear any concerns that you have. So hang on just a minute, let me get these organized. Okay, our first is Safe Humanity First USA. Is it safe? Okay. Don't fall on the Boy Scouts.
I was able to tiptoe around. Good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for giving me just a few minutes. I won't take much time. My name is Saf Rahman. I'm the West Coast Project Manager of Humanity First USA. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We were established actually internationally in 1994, but here in the U.S. in 2004. The reason I'm before you here today is we're actually going to be doing our annual West Coast fundraising dinner, which is our biggest event here for the West Coast, here in the city of Chino. It's going to be at the Plains of Fame Museum next Saturday, July 1st. I know it's a holiday weekend, but we thought it would be a nice fitting place. Briefly, with regards to Humanity First, what makes us a little bit different than other charity organizations is that we are 100% volunteer-based. The board of directors members are all businessmen, executives in healthcare, lawyers, and there is not one paid employee. So, you know, we say over 90% of your dollar gets there. It's really probably 98.3%, give or take. And so we would like to invite you to come out. It's going to be a fun event. There's an ESPN Sports Center anchor who's going to be hosting. We have a catered 4-course meal. Canna Brew here in Chino is providing coffee. My Delight Cupcakery, Nothing But Cakes, a few other companies providing dessert. It's going to be a fun night. We have silent auction and some really cool items, vacation homes and paintings and jewelry and other things. But it's going to be a fun night. We're going to have it here in the city of Chino for the first time, and I invite all of you to come. Thank you for your time. I'm going to leave a couple of flyers here if that's okay.
Okay. Do you want to give a phone number, something where they can, the public can contact you?
Yes, you can contact me at 714-926-9615. And also we have a website if you're unable to make it and would like to donate or would just like to check out more about it. There's an RSVP. Soaring for Humanity is what we've named it. And if I can leave these with someone to distribute to the council. Thank you. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you very much for being here. Okay, that's the only written request I have to speak on an item that is not on the agenda. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on an item that's not on the agenda? Case. No, you're on the agenda. I have a written request to speak from you.
Yeah, but for public comment in on the agenda.
Okay, if it's not on an agenda item.
It's more about our committee than it is about the agenda item.
Well, I'm going to pull item number 5 for all of those written requests to speak.
So we can speak about more than just the.
Oh, yeah. If you want to address something that's not on the agenda, you can do that now.
Report on item 5.
Okay. Well, okay, then we will move on to the consent calendar. Item 5 is being pulled. There are a number of written requests to address it. Any council members wish any other item to be pulled? No, then a motion would be appropriate. It's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second by Councilman George, and the item passes unanimously. Okay, item number 5 has been pulled, and there are a number of written requests to speak on it. I'd like to ask staff to give a report, please.
I'll start it off and then I'll turn it over to our Community Development Director, Nick Ligori. We received an inquiry from Ed Liney at our last council meeting regarding 3 questions, which Nick Ligori will address. But before I do that, I want to highlight that on June 14th, staff received an inquiry regarding a clerical error in the ordinance that was prepared, specifically in section 1D. And the resident that provided this information was Steve Bell. So I appreciate him bringing this to our attention. In that, there's a section which reads and should read as follows. related to the Measure H. This is the land which is the subject matter of this ordinance consists of 29 acres, actually 29.7 acres, of vacant land located on, and this is the correction, east side of Central. And then another correction is on the south side of Francis. It previously read west side of Central and north side of Francis. Situated in the city of Chino, in San Bernardino County, state of California. So we just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that we've identified that correction. We did reach out to our city attorney who reviewed the matter, and this is just a non-substantial error in that the legal descriptions and the maps that are found within the ballot measure are correct and accurate. But I just wanted to identify that we did receive this comment and that was correct, that correction needed to be made. So with that, I'll turn it over to Nick, who will address the 3 items that were raised at our last council meeting.
Thank you. The 3 questions were in regard to the total size of the proposed parks, the locations of proposed turn lanes, and the proposed storm drain improvements. In regards to the parks, the EIR states that there's 2 neighborhood parks totaling 1.4 acres that would be included as part of the development. Staff is uncertain whether these would be city parks because there's no track map submitted. The track map would show what the proposed ownership for the parks is. Additionally, these sites are smaller than typical city parks, and we don't have enough information on the proposed amenities to determine if the city would accept these as city parks or if they would be privately maintained. In addressing the intersection improvements, the only improvements required in the EIR are for the intersection of Francis and Benson. These improvements will include a northbound left turn lane, southbound left turn and through right lane, as well as the installation of traffic signal. The EIR does not specify nor require any improvements for the intersection of Philadelphia and Benson. Third, the developer would be required to build a storm drain in Benson Avenue along their frontage, which will connect to the Philadelphia Avenue storm drain. Any development activity on the subject property would trigger this requirement because these improvements are included in the city's drainage master plan. So that concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any additional questions of the council.
Okay, I'm going to ask one question. On the storm drain, are they required to put it all the way down to Philadelphia even though their project does not completely front on Benson?
The conditions of, because we're at a very early stage in the project, the conditions of approval haven't been fully developed. We don't have a track map to look at, but I'd like to defer to our Assistant City Manager, Jose Leary, on the specifics on the connection.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yes, when that comes through, the requirement will be to connect all the way down with this master plan facility to the existing facility that's on Philadelphia.
Even though that property is in Ontario?
Yes, we'd be working with the City of Ontario staff and make sure that we're going to accomplish that, and then comes improvements to the street that we coordinate with Ontario. But that would be a requirement of the project.
If Ontario requires the actual northwest corner of Benson and Philadelphia to be improved, that's not part of the project, would the city have to pay to improve that section that's all dirt south of where those Ontario homes are?
Those are discussions that we're going to have with Ontario if this is going to be a real project. We'll have to sit down with them because, again, as you just mentioned, it is in the city of Ontario. So the first question I would be asking is, if this is in your city, do you have contributions toward the improvements, development impact fees? A lot of times they are in the programs, and we start the discussions. I don't have enough information to answer you at this point.
Okay, so we don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we do have a number of written requests to speak. Does the council have any other questions before I call on the speakers? No? Okay, the first request is Ed Lai.
Good evening, Mayor Ulloa and council members. My name is Ed Lai. I live at 5531 Adams Street. The reason I wanted to talk during the public comment, I wanted to talk a little bit about our our committee, Protect Chino, No on H. There's a lot of us here, most of us have yellow shirts on tonight, but there's some without yellow shirts, so I'd like all of them to raise their hand. Thank you.
We're with you.
Thank you, thank you. How many of you have lived here for 10 years?
Ed, you have to address the council, but you can
Okay,
have.
how many of you have lived for 10 years?
52 years.
44.
How about 20 or more? How about 20 or more?
35.
How many have raised your families here? How many are seniors?
Not you, Gary.
Do you think we're despicable? Liars, thieves, vandals, or bullies? Don't believe what the proponents say about us. All you have to do is look who benefits from this particular development to see where the truth is. The city council, with the exception of Mayor Ayala, sorry, Ulloa. I used to work in his office over here. Opted to put Measure H on the ballot, pitting your residents against multi-billion-dollar developer with unlimited resources, who unfortunately has chosen the low road and is slurring your residents. Hopefully we can get the message out without stooping to the level of the proponents. If there are more requests for Measure M initiatives in the future, please only accept petition process to get those on the ballot, or limit the voting to districts, since we now have gotten to districts within the city. You represent the residents, not the big developers. Now, regarding item 5 and the report, I would just like, for the record, the origin of my questions at the last council meeting were due to the advertisements that the proponents are putting out to all the public. They state that there's going to be public city parks, that there's turn lanes at Benson and Philadelphia that's going to benefit the traffic problem, and it even says that the planning department says that they're necessary traffic improvements. And then I was curious about the flood control, because they're advertising that they have extraordinary flood control improvements. And so, for the record, from what I understand, I'd like to thank, first of all, I'd like to thank the staff for answering those questions. They did a very thorough job of answering those questions. I did have one additional question about the Benson and Philadelphia intersection, which I talked to planning yesterday and got a thorough answer. And I just, for the record, would like to say that on all these, the city really doesn't know the extent of what's being done by this project, except that the proponents are making a lot of false and deceptive claims, because it all will wait until there's a track map that's provided. Any other questions? Thank you.
Next written request is Kathleen Holleran.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Kathleen Halloran. I live on 5556 Locust Street, Chino, California, for the last 40 years. I've lived and taught in Chino for 50 years. Not taught, sorry, lived. I have a question on the voter pamphlet. Perhaps if you could put this on the... On the voter pamphlet, it shows in depth the condos across the street from this development, even with street numbers. But surprisingly, 20 one-acre lots and a business were left off this map. Who okayed this map? Where did it come from? When I ask these questions, people say, well, it came from the EIR. Your employees are supposed to be checking this map. This is a misleading map. If you would mind putting it up, please. Can it be put on the...
I don't think we have capability
No?
of putting it up, Katie.
Okay. I'm wondering why 20 one-acre lots and a business were left off. That's my question.
I don't know if that can be answered this evening. Nick, do you know who prepared the map?
Can you identify on here which lots you're referring to?
East Vernon and, yeah, northeast.
There's a lot more than 20, so I don't know.
Where
I don't know what she's looking at. Those are half acre. I don't know.
No.
It must be in the voter's guide.
Just so everybody, there's a map, and everybody has gotten their ballot. And to the north portion, which she's referring to near Wolfenberger's, Barger's property, it doesn't identify the specific parcels, is what she's saying.
Correct?
Correct. And
But this is
and she
a
drew them in
zoning,
here.
this
but
is
the-
a zoning
Correct. But I'm
vote.
trying to answer your question. That wasn't included, the site that what we wanted to identify, and the purpose of the map was to identify the specific site that's in question, not the parcels around it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, next written request to speak, Susie Duarte.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Suzanne Duarte. I live at 11749 Harding Court in Chino in the neighborhood of this Measure H project. So I'm particularly interested in it. I have a couple of clarifications I'd like to get if possible. First of all, what is the price range of the Measure H homes? Because these are being sold to the community to vote on, and we have very little information. Do we have any sort of a price range?
I don't think we do yet, not until they actually figure out what they're going to build. I think the only thing we know right now is the density request.
Okay, so we know there's 182 homes, is it?
180, I believe.
180 homes. We know there are 180 homes being built, but really nothing else. Okay. Will the homes be priced lower or in a way to make them more affordable to lower income buyers or young families than the many other comparable Chino housing projects?
We don't know, Susie.
Okay, because they are being touted as bringing young families and being for young families and affordability. That's been really pushed in the literature for the proponents. And I think if people are going to be voting on this and they want their young families to move in here, their grandchildren and children to stay in Chino, that I think needs to be clarified. And I think we already know this. Will an actual site plan, including amenities and who may use them, be made available to voters before we have to vote in July 11th?
It's not determined yet.
So we don't know any claims that the proponents make other than we are building the type of structures, which are condominiums and other, also larger properties also, all less than a lot of the surrounding area. We don't know anything about it. They're talking about parks and swimming pools. Lately they brought up a swimming pool. But we don't know any of this and we have to vote on it. I don't understand how this is even possible. Is it possible to get some mitigation, an impartial party or group that could make sure that the information that's going out is not misleading to the voters? Is there any way to do that?
Well, we don't really have any control of freedom of speech.
Okay, so they can say anything they want and make all the claims they want, but what it comes down to is we know nothing about this project other than the number and the types that they're claiming to be built on that property in our neighborhood, in our community, and which will really change the face of the city. And another thing I'd like to bring up is that the City of Ontario, the City Council and Mayor unanimously agreed to oppose Measure H. They think it is not a good idea. And some of these improvements that are going to be made by Ontario, they won't do it. They oppose this project. So I think the voters need to know that all these great things that are going to happen won't happen if they need to be done in Ontario or with Ontario's assistance. I guess we just need a multi-million-dollar backer too.
Thank you, Susie.
All right. Any questions for me?
No.
All right. Thank you.
Christy Wolfenbarger, Christy Bradley and Barbara Wolfenbarger. You guys just became related.
It's not a bad thing. I think I'm related to everybody. Good evening, Mayor Ulloa and City Council members. We're here to talk a little bit about Measure H and tell you a little story. As we know, this measure will affect not only the adults in our community, but also the children in our community. And so Christy Bradley is the proud mom of 3 wonderful children, one of which is 11-year-old Sawyer. When Sawyer was asking questions about where Mom was going on Wednesday night to the meetings and why there were signs being carried around and why we have yellow T-shirts and what does actually Measure H mean, Christy talked to him a little bit about density and about congestion.
So here's what he came up with. This is 30. Can everyone see that back there on the camera? This is 30 homes. This is 180. Do you see a problem with this? Because my 11-year-old did. I don't care if you're going 3 stories high. This, compared to this, is not okay. And the city of Chino needs to realize, all the voters need to realize what the impact is going to be in this area. It takes me 7 minutes to take my son to high school. It takes me another 40 minutes to take my daughter to Magnolia just after I got out of the high school parking lot. So this and this, you want to show them what you got?
And so between us, we have matchbox cars to graphically represent what the congestion will look like. Christy has 50, and I have 75. So between us, 125. 4 times these amount of cars of what is expected to be contained in the homes if Measure H goes forward. And so we wanted to make sure that people understood graphically what this will look like. And her 11-year-old son felt it was pretty significant when he put his Legos together, and they are touching throughout the map. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
And the last written request to speak, Jean Batista.
Tough act to follow. Good evening, Mayor Ulloa, council members. My name is Jean Batista, and I do not live in the north end of Chino. But I came tonight to share my concerns, and I wish that I would have gotten on this a little sooner because I'm finding out there's a whole lot of questions yet to be answered, and the election is not that far away. In fact, this is the last council meeting, I understand, before the election. I have several concerns, and first is the concern that this is an important election to all of Chino, not just the north end. I live at 12846 Zinnia Avenue, which is the first D.R. Horton project built in 2001. 16 years later, I still live there. I cannot get off the homeowners board, but I can tell you a lot of history about how problematic my wonderful little community is. It has met the needs of me and my family for quite some time. However, as beautiful as our community is, D.R. Horton gave us a board in the beginning when the project built out that was so controlling, that created so much contention. And I've served on a lot of boards, and I've never seen such a difficult dissenting board as we had for many years. So it took a while to get the community back. Many people left, many families left, many police and fire that lived in our community left to buy other homes, and they didn't come back. Now we have about 50% that are absentee landlords, and the issues become parking, street safety. I mean, our largest home is just under 2,000 square feet, and many homeowners have more cars than they can put in their garage or on a driveway if they have it. So street parking is an issue. Speeding is an issue. We just installed speed bumps and worked very closely with the fire department to paint a lot of red curbs so fire trucks can get in and out of our streets while people live and park there. And I can tell you we've lost a lot of parking because of this, and our very proactive board has worked to make this safe. But now, with all the red curbing, we look more like an apartment complex with garages and parking issues than we look like beautiful individual single-family homes with curb appeal. So I'd like to just tell you in short, there's a lot of problematic things with an association like D.R. Horton built when it was the first of its kind 16 years ago, and it's called Cypress Creek. I want to clarify, I am not against developers. My family sold their 20 acres and the developer put 80 homes on it back in the 70s. I understand progress. I'm not against progress, I'm against smart progress. We have a general plan, and I have discovered that in a relatively short period of time, we've had 4 or 5 special elections just for residential housing to rezone. Rezone commercial development to residential, rezone business to residential, but now we're looking to rezone residential to residential. This causes me concern because it's not just D.R. Horton, it's Richmond, it's Frontier. They are all building homes bigger than my home. These are 2,100 to 2,400, 3, 4, and 5 bedrooms that still have 2-car garages and barely any parking. What happens in a community like that is the homeowners are left to maintain this community. The park that they're asking about, the small park, will most likely be within the homeowners association. The owners will pay dues, and it will not be a public park. We have several parks, tot lots, a swimming pool. We maintain them. But outsiders come into our community, and crime happens in our community because strangers who don't live there come and smoke pot and vandalize our pool, and they park there to sell illegal drugs because the streets are enclosed and people can't see through traffic. So the police have been busy in our community. And so with all of the impact on infrastructure, I would like to ask the residents to think very clearly. We've heard, I don't belong to the yellow shirts. Maybe I should have been there a long time ago. But this is a David and Goliath election. Goliath is my builder, D.R. Horton, who built a nice home for me. They have nearly $250,000, I understand, for slick mailers. I've received 3 so far in the mail, and they've got wonderful spin on them that kind of allude to a quality of life. But as I hear more things and so many open-ended questions, and well, we don't know until we rezone what we're going to end up with, then I would like to ask the voters of Chino to understand that infrastructure, traffic congestion, water, sewer, all those issues, police and fire, schools are going to be impacted severely. And there is a quality of life that we want to protect. When you hear how long it takes to get from the police department to the preserve because of all of the traffic here in between, when they're doing, what is it, code red, code 3, I don't know, the officer can maybe explain to me, but 13 minutes on a night when there's really no traffic because of all the stop and go. I mean, we have additional signal lights between Francis and Phillips. What have we got now? 4 signal lights for that short distance because of the new homes. So when people say we don't know what D.R. Horton's going to build, let's look at what they have built. They've recently built, next to the Avocado House, right on Central Avenue, 2,500 square foot homes. There's 113, I believe, in there. And I drove in there several times. People are parking where they're not supposed to park already. And it probably won't be enforced till it's built out. But you can bet our police department is going to get a call when they can't do street sweeping, when the fire lanes are violated. And I don't think we need to do that until we get a better handle on it. I would like to see more balanced growth. And I would like to see the city of Chino quit breaking up the general plan through special elections afforded by developers. And I would ask all of the residents of Chino, not just North Chino, to consider how this will impact their quality of life. Riverside Drive is a zoo between Mountain and Euclid. It takes me 20 minutes some days to get to my home from there because of the stop and go traffic. And with people being tired and long days and long commutes, Chino needs to really look at the balance. And I'm counting on our voters to do that by voting no on H. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, those are the only written requests to speak. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak? Please come to the lectern.
Hi, my name is Catherine Bourne. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I just felt I needed to make a really short clarification here to the city manager, because when Kathleen Halloran came up and talked about the map, I'm not sure I didn't feel that you understood her point, which was that they're showing the high density areas. We understand this is the site map, but they're only showing the multiple homes per acre, and they're failing to show the larger properties as a deceptive practice is how we're looking at this. We feel that if somebody looks at that site map, they're not looking at the little portion that is the 29.7 acres. They're looking at what D.R. Horton is saying, and that is that this is compatible because to the west is high density and to the south is commercial or is retail. They're very conveniently not showing to the north the larger properties that make this an incompatible development. Thank you very much for listening.
Mayor, that is correct. The parcels to the north are lower density, so I don't question that. The question that she proposed was why weren't the lot lines drawn in? And I was just clarifying that the purpose of that map was just to identify the site. So, that the map that is in the ballot is
let's be respectful.
That.
I think we get the point. And why it was prepared like that, I don't know. But I understand what you're saying. And I think the general audience does now. The development to the north and to the east is all low density. But it's not reflecting that. It only reflects the higher density. Any other speakers in the audience that would like to address the council? Yes, ma'am. If you'd like to come up, please.
I am not a public speaker, sorry. My name is Donna Jacobson Marchese. I live at,
Pull your microphone down a little bit.
Not
There you
mine.
go.
I live at 11953 Yorba Avenue. I'm a fourth generation Chino person. I'm very disappointed in how you have put this in front of your citizens, and I'm hearing here that now we don't have all the truths to vote on. They are saying there are parks, public parks, community parks. There's a pool. Boy, wouldn't I like a dip in the pool. Now you're telling me we don't know if they're going to be public parks or private parks, but people think they're going to be public parks, the people I'm talking to. It says they're going to have this wonderful flood control, and now you're saying you're going to have to work with the City of Ontario and a portion of it, and they don't want to get involved with this. I was at that City Council meeting. They say that we're going to do traffic control. Ontario's not going to do traffic control, so I think you've done us a disservice by not having these people say exactly how many houses, what size the park, where the park and everything, so the public can decide, yes, we'll vote for them. They're giving us public parks. Or no, we're not going to vote for them. These are private parks. I don't think we've got the true and accurate information out to everybody to vote on. Am I crazy or what? Yeah, I am. Another thing, if we're going to keep doing this, I would like to see somebody oversee publications. These are close to being, in my opinion, lies. My opinion. I showed this to my girlfriend from Ontario. What do you think of that? And she goes, is this from your planning committee, your planning department? And I said, no. We've got Chino Seniors. I keep wanting to say Chino Sinners. Chino Seniors support. Who do I contact? What Chino Seniors group do I contact to ask them why they want me to do this? There's nothing there. We have a policeman. Does he represent the police department? It looks like he kind of does because it says he's a Chino police officer. We have somebody from the school district. That's misrepresentation. I don't know that they're speaking on behalf of the school district, but it kind of looks like it. So I'd like to see somebody from the city, if you're going to pit us against each other, kind of oversee this stuff. If you're not speaking on behalf of the police department, then don't say you're a police officer and act like you are, or imply. People take it that way. Let's put it that way. You know what? That's why they did it. People aren't going to call the police department and go, did you say this? Are you representing the police department? So I think since we keep doing this, and this is not my first time to try to get people not to vote, I keep talking to about the avocado house. I told you not to vote for that. And they're going, is that what you wanted us not to vote on? Go, yes. Now they want to do it some more. That's a good rallying point for us, is those units. So that's my spin on it. Okay? Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience that would like to address the council on this issue? Okay, then we'll turn it over to council comments. Mr. Elrod?
I have no comment.
Mr. Howie?
Well, you know, I understand everybody's concern, especially the people in the neighborhood, and I can honestly say that of the 14 Measure M's in the last 30 years that we've had, I know we've had 3 or 4 in the last few years. I'm pretty sure this is probably the last of the big amount of acreage, almost 30 acres. So obviously, you know, the council has put every one of these on the ballot because that's what our resolution says, that we put every one of these on the ballot. And we can't vote, you know, obviously, well, we can vote, but only as one vote. But we've put all these on the ballot, so let the people vote. That's what our Measure M thing said, and it was originally put in there to kind of make sure that the city council did not change the voting. Where, you know, that the people did not want us personally to change the voting. And so we have put them on the ballot, and the people will obviously decide. And I gotta say that this is the most contentious race that's the measure we've ever had. It'll be interesting to see in 3 weeks what the outcome is going to be. That's all I got.
Any other council comments? I made a lot of notes before this evening's meeting. Obviously, this is very near and dear to my heart since I live in the neighborhood. But Mayor Pro Tem Howie, I'd like to correct you. I was on this council when we passed Measure M, and the intent was not for the developer to have the city put this on the ballot. The intent was that the developer or landowner who wanted to change density would get petitions signed in order to put it on the ballot. The exception for the council to put it on the ballot was done so that if we had zoned something improperly and we had experimented with Central Avenue, and if it was not successful and did not work out, that the city could initiate a ballot measure to change it. It was not meant as a loophole so the developers wouldn't have to get petitions signed. So you're incorrect in that. The councils have, in the past, councils, all of us have put these items on the ballot instead of making the petition or making the developer get the petitions, okay? This particular developer did try to get petitions signed, did pull the right paperwork and try to get them signed, and he could not get the amount of signatures to put it on the ballot. So he came to the council instead. There are some undisputed facts, and you're right about one thing. This is the most contentious election I ever remember, especially on any kind of a Measure M. This has been the most contentious, with accusations flying back and forth all over the place, which is really too bad. But there are some undisputed facts, and that is this land has been zoned 1 per acre for years and years and years and years and years, way before we moved here in 1980. It was zoned 1 per acre. No one has ever stopped the landowners from developing according to the general plan. Everyone has a right to develop their land in accordance with the general plan. There was a comment made during a council meeting that every landowner has a right to develop whatever they want. Well, no, they don't. Because if any landowner could develop anything that they wanted, we would have one horrific city. You could have a next door neighbor decide to tear their house down and build, you know, an apartment building, which in the past, one of the contentious items was a 1 acre development on Walnut Avenue, where in fact, that started the war when Fred Aguirre became mayor, remember? And it's 20 per acre, and they had to build it so that the driveway is down and the garages are underneath it.
Apartment building.
That was years and years and years ago. So no, a landowner cannot do anything that they want. Otherwise, you would not know the kind of neighborhood that you're living in. And what we try to do with the general plan is have some kind of consistency and balance so that we know how to plan infrastructure and services. But anyway, undisputed facts are that land has been zoned 1 acre for years and years and years and years, and the landowner that owns it, or multiple landowners, knew that when they bought it. They gambled on getting a density increase. It was an investment. Well, this is America. We can invest and take a chance. You can invest in the stock market and take a chance on whether you're going to make a profit or not. Well, you can invest in land and take a chance on a density increase so you can make more money, but it doesn't give you a guarantee. And so they made a gamble. There has never been any effort to stop any landowner to develop their land in accordance with the zone that's on that land. There are certain restrictions. There are safety and health matters and codes and zone codes, building codes and all of that. But there's never been a concerted effort to stop any developer from building legally in accordance with their zone. The original proposal that came forward on this particular land that's in contention, the original proposal was way over 200. I think it was 236 was the original proposal. They downscaled it to 180. What's legally allowed is about 30. So from 30 to 180 is quite an increase. The conceptual plan showed 2 tiny parks, but it's a conceptual plan and a combination of, I don't remember the exact numbers, but there's 1/3 of an acre that border the half acres, and that was to put a buffer between the current horse property and the high density. And then it goes all the way up to RD12. RD12 is what is built north of the Avocado House. RD12 is the development Cypress Creek that Jean Batista talked about. That's RD12. So instead of 30 acres, 30 homes, it'll go all the way up to RD12. And it may or may not contain 2 parks that Nick said combined could be as much as 1.4 acres. But they might not be city parks. They might be an HOA. There apparently has been talk or advertisement that there might be a pool. It is not going to be a public pool. The city is not building this pool. It will probably be an HOA, as the internal streets will probably be HOA maintained streets. My son lives in Hampshire Village, I think Hampshire Village. And they have the same problem, Jeannie, that you talk about, with people parking on both sides of the street when legally it's only on one side. Their homeowners association is having dickens of a time getting people to comply. There are more bedrooms, and you can count on probably 1 car per bedroom. And when these homes are 4 and 5 bedrooms, you're going to have 4 and 5 cars eventually. And they have 2-car garages. Some of these garages are so small that if you have an SUV or a larger type car, you're not going to get 2 cars in the garage unless you have a Mini Cooper. And so a lot of times people don't park in their garages unless they're required by the HOA. But if you have 4 cars, and if what they call apron to the garage is so small you can't park your car there, then you try to park it in front of the house. The problem is the lots are so narrow, you might get 1 car in front of it, which means you're going to have to park in front of your neighbor's house. So what's happening now in the compacted neighborhoods is neighbors are fighting neighbors. In fact, I was told in one development, if a car pulls out, one of the homeowners runs out and stands in the parking spot until their family member can get that parking spot. So, you have a babysitter, and the babysitter has to park way down the street. You can't have a family gathering because there's nowhere people can park to get together. So anyway, enough of that. We don't know about the parks, as has been stated. We don't know exactly what this development's going to look like, as we don't know what any development is going to completely look like until it's approved, goes through plan check and all of that. It's a concept plan, which might or might not have 2 tiny parks. They may or may not be open to the public. We don't know. It may or may not be an HOA. We don't know. Who's going to be responsible for the streets? Is it the city or is it going to be the HOA? We don't know. We don't know until the landowner, the developer, puts together a plan for approval, and we don't have that yet. And we can't force them to do it ahead of time. This is the most controversial election measure I can ever remember. I mean, we've had some controversies in the past, but not like this. There have been multiple measures that have passed in the last 25 years or so that increase density. They've all been special elections, which typically have a very poor turnout. And so you'll have 1,700 people deciding land use that will impact the rest of the community because people, they're apathetic, they think their vote doesn't count, but they'll complain afterwards. So yes, the council past councils have put these issues on the ballots, and typically there's been very poor turnout. So the measure passes, the developers build what they want, and then we hear the complaints later, why in the world did you allow that to be built? Well, you either voted or you didn't vote. I believe that there are several reasons why this particular issue has struck a chord with people. I think it's the cumulative effect of development and density increases. If you individually look at measures and their impact, you think, well, it's not that bad, you know, maybe 100 homes or whatever. But when you put it all together with all of the new development and everything that's going on, the impact is massive. People are tired of increased traffic and congestion, and it's going to get worse. In all truthfulness, whether or not this passes, it's going to get worse. When you look at the Inland Empire, the west end of the Inland Empire, what's being proposed in Ontario and Chino and, oh gosh, Temecula, what's the Harupa Valley, it's massive. It's going to be gridlock. Increased housing, costs of housing has increased desperately, or definitely in our community, and that's because people want to live here. If we had a community that was undesirable, we would have low-cost housing, but we don't. The housing costs have gone up because people want to be here. I get asked all the time, why don't you make developers build affordable homes? Well, we have no control over that. It was questioned tonight about the price point of these homes. We don't know. We can't tell them what they're going to sell the homes for. That's up to them, and they're going to sell them for what they can get. People say you should make people build affordable homes. Well, again, it's a successful community. We're victims of our own success, and so the property values go up. I challenge all of you, who do you know who has dropped the price of their home when they sold it so that it could be affordable for a young family? Everybody wants the maximum profit. So we can't control that. The visual impact, I think, of the D.R. Horton project on Central, north of the Avocado House, people are horrified by it, not happy with what it looks like at all. I think that has also caused a lot of the disgruntled opinions. The school situation with students being bused to other schools or having to commute to other schools, that's caused a lot of unhappiness. Millions of dollars of developer fees have gone to the schools over the years that I've been on the council. Millions and millions of dollars of developer fees have gone to the school district. And yet they took almost a $1 billion issue to the ballot last year. It passed, and it's going to hit our property taxes starting later this year. What happened to the millions of dollars? So this particular developer says he's going to give the school over $1 million. Where's it going to go? It isn't going to build a new school. It isn't going to help with the congestion. And this is the last area of 1 acre zoned property. That particular area right there. There's a little bit more land than what's in this particular development, but that's the last 1 acre development we have in the city of Chino. Now, the opposition, it's a grassroots effort with a very small budget. D.R. Horton is one of the biggest builders in the United States. He's the gorilla. They have a huge budget to spend on promoting this ballot measure, and you've seen that with newspaper ads and slick mailers that have come out. I've run for many elections, and I'll tell you what, sending mailers is expensive. We all know that. It's expensive. And we're getting one, if not more, a week from them. They've probably invested close to $1 million, at least, already in the plans, the EIR, $200,000 for putting the measure on the ballot, the mailers every week, which cost tens of thousands of dollars. They pay a professional political consultant to design those mailers, and many of the points are designed to mislead. I know it, you know it. Every time we have a Measure M, the pictures on the advertisements always show these beautiful areas. One, in fact, I don't know if it was the avocado house, but one of them even showed, you know, people walking in a beautiful open area, like, you know, kind of a wooded area, and then there was horses in the background, and the depiction of the homes. There's space in between. It's, you know, it's going to help the schools, and it's going to help businesses, and it's all claims that a very good professional is hired to put out there. We can't control that. I know there was a request that, you know, the city should oversee these advertisements, but it's freedom of speech. It's up to the voters to educate themselves. It angers me, it angers a lot of people, but we can't control what they say. That's why I thought it was really important, and I asked Mr. Ballantyne to put it on the agenda this evening, because I think it's time that our city at least put our foot down and make sure the citizens know the facts in what issues are, instead of just hearsay. These homes won't be affordable for young families. I was talking to a friend who has a married child and spouse. They have very, very good jobs, and they can only qualify for about a $250,000 to $300,000 home. These aren't going to be that price range. Nothing in Chino is that price range. This is David and Goliath. It's the mouse that roared. So if this measure passes, there are multiple developers out there looking to do the same thing throughout the city and in our sphere of influence. You'll see more increased densities. There is no two ways about it. This might be the only area that's visibly huge, which the 30 acres is, but I know for a fact there are developers that are looking in our sphere of influence on the north end that already have options on multiple properties, and they're just waiting to see what happens. Now, you can vote on this issue because it's in the city of Chino, but the property that is not in the city of Chino, you don't get to vote on. That'll be up to the county, and that'll be up to the city, and it'll be up to the council. I think this is the one opportunity for the people of Chino to let the council know what you want for the future of your community. I think our council's at a crossroads. I think we either listen to the people and have the people involved in what our community develops into, or we let the developers decide what our community is going to look like. So either way, signs are being stolen on both sides. I know that for a fact. People are angry. They're losing their tempers. I ask everybody to please stay calm and just vote your wish. We're going to get to July 12th. This ballot is July 11th, but we will get to July 12th, and we still live in this community, and we're still going to see each other, and you're still going to have the same neighbors. And what will be, will be. It is in the hands of the people, but the accusations and the false things that are being said and the finger pointing needs to stop. We live here. We live here. This is your opportunity to vote, and I ask you to do that either way, whether you're in favor of it or you're against it. But we're still going to be here. We still need to care about our community. Our council, my wish is that we really listen to the people, but it's in your hands. Okay, that's what I have to say tonight.
Eunice.
Gary?
Yeah, I've got a question. The first one I've been in on, and a whopper it is. When if David wins this election, what happens to the project?
It stays zoned 1 per acre.
And they go away?
It depends on what they want to do. It depends on the landowner, it depends on the developer. They can go back through it again. They don't even have to go through anything if they decide to build according to the general plan.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
If I may just make some procedural comments. Certainly, this is a controversial issue, but the council as a whole cannot take a position, as the mayor explained, on the advertisements, the various statements that are made by the entity, either party. So the single issue that was before this council was the density issue. As the mayor accurately explained, any further details about the project, the configuration, the parks, et cetera, were not before this council when the issue came before it. That would be a separate process that would have to go through the planning department. So I just wanted to emphasize that the council as a body cannot answer. This is why the council can't answer the questions. These details were not before the city when the public hearing occurred.
What about staff?
Staff can be asked the question as far as any details that the city has, but as far as the details of the project, again, the developer's not provided that. So that is a next step. Should this election be successful, the next step would be the developer would have to come to the city for its various approvals. It could be a tentative map, in which case the configuration of the lots would be better known. But until that happens, unfortunately, the city does not have the details that I know a lot of your residents are seeking.
Thank you. Now, this item is not on the agenda for action. It was an information item. Okay, next item on the agenda is public hearing. Prior to the vote of the council, any member of the audience will have the opportunity to address the council on any of the items listed under public hearings. Council requests but not require that you state your name and address prior to making any remarks. Next item is item number 12, ordinance number 2017-007, adding chapter 12.15 of the Chino Municipal Code. And our staff report this evening will be provided by our city prosecutor, Mr. Matt Silver. Good evening.
Briefly on this item, and then happy to answer any questions that the council may have. It's a pleasure to be here before you tonight. The council is considering adding this provision to the municipal code regarding collection containers. Collection containers are these bins that we may see around the city, and frankly are kind of proliferating all around the state and country, where some are charitable, some are for profit, and people can donate their shoes and clothes and books and various items. The reason this has become an issue lately, it really is twofold. One, from a code enforcement perspective, we have seen more and more of these. And secondly, even though our municipal code currently prohibits them anywhere in the city, they are nonetheless proliferating. And there is a Ninth Circuit decision that just came out within the last month that has reaffirmed that these boxes are protected by the First Amendment and free speech. So what this means is that the city municipal code, in terms of prohibiting them outright, is problematic. And so the ordinance we have brought to your attention here today, for your consideration rather, is to bring the municipal code into compliance with this Ninth Circuit decision and the U.S. Constitution. Specifically, what the city can do is regulate time, place, and manner. And that's kind of a basic tenet of First Amendment rules. And so what we can do is we can regulate where these go, how they go, how they're managed to make sure they don't contribute to blight, as some are doing, unfortunately, and permitting requirements and so on. So some of the issues we're hearing are about these being placed in multiple locations in residential areas, blocking ingress and egress issues, blocking fire lanes, placed on landscaping, placed in parking stalls, and so on. This ordinance addresses all of those things. It places, for example, 1,000-foot minimum distance restrictions between collection containers and residential areas. They will not be allowed in residential areas. They will be completely zoned out of residential areas. In addition, they cannot be placed within 1,000 feet of another collection container, so there are spatial distances. And then probably, there are many restrictions, but of another noteworthy one is that they must be cleaned every week. So someone must actively maintain these and make sure that they're not overflowing with donated goods and that they're clean. And in the event that the city or a private citizen has to make a complaint about one not being properly maintained, then both the property owner on which it is located and the owner of the unit must respond and abate it within 48 hours. And the city, to the extent the city might have to step in and do it itself, has all the same code enforcement tools that we have and regularly employ throughout the city for other issues. But one additional one is revoking their permit for having their collection containers. So I guess the 2 points are this ordinance will bring us into compliance with the code. In fact, it will very closely follow the one that was recently upheld in Oakland by the Ninth Circuit. And secondly, it specifically deal with some of the community issues that we've been hearing about and dealing with in the city. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions?
Yes.
Gary?
How many of these containers do we have in the city?
You know, that's a fantastic question, Councilman. I don't know that offhand. I do know that we have, from a code enforcement perspective, we have heard complaints about several of them. I know I've personally seen some, overflowing. So I can't give you a specific number.
But where I'm going with this thing is if there are like 100 of these containers or whatever, and 100 people complain about the containers weekly, I mean, that's going to really impact staff I totally agree with everything that you're saying, and it should be that way. But that's really going to impact the staff on trying to bring everything into compliance.
That is possible. The good news is that we'll have a mechanism now to bring them into compliance, whereas it's a little bit, I guess, a grayer area, I would call it now. We can do that now, certainly. We have all sorts of tools that we regularly use very successfully. But we're going to receive those complaints as we have in the past. We'll continue to receive them, and we'll continue to address them. But now we'll have I would call it sharper tools to do so.
Thank you.
I failed to open the public hearing, which I'll do right now. And are there any members of the audience that would like to address the council on item number 12? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Any other questions of Mr. Silver or comments? Okay, then a motion would be appropriate.
And if I may just read the title of the ordinance, Madam Mayor.
We vote first.
Typically, it's during the before the motion, but
That's interesting. We used to do it after.
that's fine as well. It won't be a procedural problem.
Okay, then there's a motion from Councilman Elrod, second from Councilman George, and the item does pass unanimously. Fred.
And with that, thank you, Madam Mayor. This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Chino, County of San Bernardino, California, adding Chapter 12.15 of the Chino Municipal Code regarding collection containers. Reading by title only and waiving further reading. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Silver. Okay, next on the agenda under new business, item number 13, fiscal year 17-18 city budget and appropriations limit. Our staff report this evening will be provided by Mr. Ballantyne, our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. On May 11, 2017, the City Council hosted a workshop where the department heads presented their proposed operating budgets for next fiscal year. That's fiscal year 17-18. Since May 11th, since the workshop, staff has made some notable changes, which include adding $1.4 million to the projected development revenues for this current fiscal year. The building permits that we received for May were strong. Expanded the 5-year capital improvement program to include projects through 2021. We incorporated revenues from the waste management contract and the transportation bill that was recently passed by the state legislature. We updated the landscaping expenditures based on the contracts we are considering tonight, this evening after this item. Despite these changes, staff's efforts to keep these expenses low, we are conservatively estimating a $2.2 million general fund operating deficit for next year. Most of this is attributed to 3 items. The first is a shortfall in development revenue for the last 2 years. As a result, we've lowered our projections for fiscal year 17-18 despite the volume of projects that have gone through plan check and are shelf ready. We specifically reduced our development revenue projections by $1.5 million compared to previous years. We are incurring a $1.5 million expense increase due to the cost of living adjustments per our employment agreements. We're going into year 3 of a 4-year deal. In fiscal year 16-17, which is the current fiscal year we are in, employees did not receive a cost of living adjustment. Per Senate Bill 1436 and our employment agreements, employees and executives will receive a 3% cost of living adjustment for next year and will be required to contribute an additional % towards their retirement cost. Sworn officers will receive 4% and will contribute 1.25% towards their retirement costs. Finally, we're experiencing a $1.6 million increase in contractual services. Specifically, $900,000 is associated with our fire contract post redevelopment, which we had a carve-out provision that allowed funding to go to our housing fund, which is now being paid directly to the fire district. When looking at the general fund reserves for next year, our beginning fund balance will be $46 million. That's how much we have in our savings account. We expect this fund balance to drop to $36.7 million at the end of the year. A majority of this is associated with investments in our infrastructure or one-time capital improvements. In conclusion, I want to thank our staff for their efforts in preparing and managing their budgets while maintaining a holistic view and serving the needs of our community. Overall, this is a fiscally conservative budget as it pertains to our projections and revenues. We must continue to monitor and plan for the increased retirement costs as a result of lower or slower investment growth and policies implemented by CalPERS. We also need to plan for the increased demand on staffing levels as we serve a growing community. This concludes my report, and staff is available to answer any questions that the council may have.
This is not a public hearing, but is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on this item? Okay, council comments? No?
Just, I mean, I'm sure that, how can I put this? You guys did the staff did a fantastic job in putting this together. It was the budget workshop was great. The number of questions that were generated at the budget workshop probably doubled the size of what we would have received. And thank you, Mayor, for all of your questions on that. As you know, as you can see, I'm wearing a new pair of glasses. My other glasses came apart trying to read all the other stuff that's in here. But anyway, bottom line is, great job, and I think you did mitigate all the questions that I had on here, and turned a lot of them around. So thank you.
Yeah, I want to congratulate staff and thank them for all their hard work. It's interesting. Last year we were supposed to have pay all the city bills and have about $36 million in reserves, but we didn't spend all of our money. So we're at 46 this year. We're going to spend a lot of money on stuff, projecting a $2 million negative expenditures, $2 million shortfall. But we're still going to, if everything plays out as it looks in paper, we should still be about $36 million in reserves again at the end of this year. So that's a good sign. And every year we're pretty conservative. I mean, I think this is my 16th year doing budgets for the city. And we never really spend all the money that, not every little item gets spent. So I'm hoping that by the end of next year we'll be in the 38 to maybe even closer to $40 million in reserve and be in good shape. So again, we have a little bit of a negative this year. I'm not real crazy about that, but I'm sure that things will come out and work out well, but by next year. So good job to staff.
Earl?
Yes, I want to thank staff. It takes a lot of work to put a budget like this together, and the department heads, they put a lot of time into it too. It all comes together at the end, and hopefully it's good for us. But I do want to thank everybody at the city hall and stuff that worked hard on these things, because it's not easy. I tried to do a budget, and Sandra overrides me, and then I have to go back. but no, it's very hard. And our budget, how big is it now? 100 and. You looking for
just the general fund
yeah.
Alone is the expenditures is $74.7 million. That doesn't include all the other special funds and diff funds.
So that's
it's a chunk of change.
Yeah, it's a little bit of change. So good job, guys. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank staff also. As you'll notice, as he was reading the staff report, he kind of jumped and looked at me. I kind of feel bad because I asked him all kinds of questions and added to the workload, and they had to postpone adopting the budget because of all the information that I asked for. But everyone did a really good job, and I want to thank you for being tolerant of my digging into the details. But they did do a good job. We have a lot of challenges in front of us. A lot of money is going into infrastructure. As we all know on Riverside Drive especially, honestly, that will get done one of these days. We're expending a lot of money on ADA things, trying to make everything right, finding out that in the past, measurements weren't exactly right, so now we're having to go back and correct things, and that adds to the expense. But, you know, Chino's a good community, and we try to do it right. We don't do it perfect, but we try to do it right. And so you've got our best efforts to do the best that we can with our budget and be as fiscally conservative as we can. We always underestimate revenues because it's safer, and we overestimate expenses, so usually we come in better than what we've predicted, which is a lot better than you know, looking and thinking that you're going to get a lot more money than you actually get. And so this year will probably turn out good as well, but I want to thank staff for all of your efforts. And I know the Public Works area is having a hard time. I mean, poor Jose, I think he'll probably be half gray by next year. A lot of stress on him.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
A lot of stress. Oh, stand by.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I was just thinking, years and years and years ago, there was a man on council called Ferkatich. Remember him? That was with McLeod days and all that.
Long time, yeah.
And he worked at the CIM, and he was a pretty rough guy. So he asked a question to staff. Of course, we probably maybe had 5 staff members. He says, you know, staff, I don't get it. You dig a hole, you put the dirt back in, and you can't even level that. He was on there. He had a way of putting things.
Well, I tell you, it does get irritating to have the streets torn up, and they do the temporary patching, and then it settles, and it's horrible. There's some pretty rough areas that have got to, I just hope they hurry up and finish all of this and get the finish done. It's been a long time, and I know the public's probably fed up with it too. Okay, those are comments, so then a motion would be appropriate, please. Motion from Councilman George, second by Councilman Elrod, and the item passes unanimously. Next is item number 14, annual contracts, amendments, and purchase orders. Our staff report this evening will be by Rhea Medina.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Included in the budget just adopted for fiscal year 2017 to 2018 are appropriations for regular ongoing services utilized by staff in carrying out the goals and objectives established for their departments. Per the city's purchasing policy, contracts and purchase orders over $25,000 require council approval. Staff has therefore prepared a comprehensive list of known contracts and purchase orders at this time for your approval. These contracts are for routine services that are necessary for regular ongoing operations in the city. It is therefore staff's recommendation that you authorize the city manager to enter into these annual contracts and to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city. That concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Rhea. This is not a public hearing, but I will ask if there's anyone in the audience that would like to address the council on this item. Okay, seeing none. Questions of staff or comments? Okay, looking for a motion. Motion from Councilman George, second by Councilman Elrod, and the item passes unanimously. Item number 15 is an agreement with Axon Enterprises Incorporated, and our staff report this evening will be provided by our Chief of Police, Karen Comstock.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. Tonight, I'm requesting that you approve a contract between the City of Chino and Axon Enterprise Incorporated of Scottsdale, Arizona, formerly known as Taser Incorporated, the subsequent purchase order, and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city to continue with our very successful body camera program. The contract, which has been reviewed by the city attorney, is for the purchase of the Axon 5-year Officer Safety Plan. This plan includes the Axon Flex 2 on-officer video camera recorders, X26P tasers, unlimited evidence.com digital evidence management and storage technology, and all of the related equipment. The total cost of this contract is $680,003.78, which is to be paid over the course of 5 years. This purchase order is for the first-year cost of $127,013.54. I would like to note this project was approved earlier this evening with the adoption of the 2017-2018 operating budget. As you know, the Chino Police Department first implemented the Axon Flex officer cameras in January of 2014, after having audio recorded our police contacts for close to 20 years. Since the initial implementation of the Axon Flex system, we've been successful in mitigating informal complaints at the watch commander's level, and most formal complaints are quickly unfounded or exonerated. This has helped to save the city countless hours of staff time, money, and assisted to preserve our good reputation by providing an unbiased record of encounters between Chino police officers and our community. As part of this new contract, the Chino Police Department will receive 114 new high-definition Axon Flex 2 on-officer video camera systems. These new cameras will replace our current standard definition cameras that are now over 3.5 years old. The new cameras provide for a wider field of view, better resolution for clearer images in the day and nighttime, improved sound quality, and increased pre-event buffer from 30 seconds to 1 minute. What this means is that when an officer turns on his camera, it includes what occurred in the preceding 60 seconds. We will also receive 111 new X26P tasers, which will replace our current conductive energy devices, which are now almost 12 years old and are out of warranty. The taser has proven to be an effective and valuable force option to our officers when dealing with violent offenders, helping to reduce injuries to both the involved subject and to our officers as well. And an interesting feature about this technology is that when it is now activated, the new tasers will actually automatically turn on any cameras in the immediate vicinity. These new devices will also automatically shut off after a 5-second deployment. They will have a better battery life, and they will include a self-diagnosing system that is updatable and links to the evidence.com system to assist with the proper maintenance and record keeping of this technology. This contract also includes all necessary accessories and mounting options for all assignments within the department, which are many, annual maintenance and technical support, software updates and a warranty, also new cameras at 2.5 years into the contract and also at 5 years to accommodate for the rapid development of this technology. And most importantly, this contract provides for unlimited evidence.com storage for the duration of the contract. We currently have approximately 14.6 terabytes of data stored, and we're producing close to 400 gigabytes of new data every month, which will certainly increase with the new high-definition cameras. This concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Karen. And again, this is not a public hearing, but is there anyone in the audience that would like to address council on this item? Yes, ma'am, if you can come up to the lectern, please.
My name is Cindy Silin, and I just wanted to ask a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The storage for the 5 years, does that go to a locked drive or anything that can be held to the extent of the, what am I looking for? The length of however the cases are, if they're 10-year cases or beyond that. What happens to the storage? If it's a 5-year, do we have an option to put that in a locker of some kind? And so we can retain that until the ends of the cases. I've worked on some of the murder cases in the Chino courts, and I'm just wondering if there's a need for that.
That's a great question, ma'am.
Thank you.
Presently, we have an option to we hang on to all of our videos for a 90-day period right now. Each officer, when they capture a video recording, has to classify that video. And by the classification of that video is whether or not there was arrest made to be held as evidence, or whether it involves perhaps an incident where we want to hold it for later review. And based off that classification, the system will opt to hold it for the duration or through the adjudication of the case, if necessary. But if not, if the video doesn't become necessary, it will eliminate itself from the system after 90 days of storage.
Okay, so it says per case basis.
Correct.
All right, great.
Per case basis, so that we're not capturing and storing more data than we need to use.
Great, thank you for answering.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, any questions of staff? Okay, none. Good job, Karen, good report.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, we have to vote on it, so a motion. Well, it's in the budget, but then you have to vote on the agreement itself. Or I'll have the same question.
We have to agree to agree.
You have to agree to agree. Okay, there's a motion from Councilman George, second from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, and the item does pass unanimously. Item number 17, agreement with RC Foster Corporation, water treatment services for well number 16. Our staff report this evening will be provided by our Assistant City Manager, Public Works Director, Mr. Jose O'Leary.
Thank you, Mayor. Are we not going to do item 16?
I'm sorry. We'll back up to item number 16. I don't know why I skipped it. Agreement with Emerson. Agreement with Emerson Process Management, Power and Water Solutions Incorporated. Jose, it's your report again.
No, I thank you,
Sorry
Mayor
about
and members
that.
of the City Council. The city requires a reliable supervisory control and data acquisition system, also known as a SCADA system. And this is to effectively monitor the city's water supply and distribution systems 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This also will ensure that if any issues arise in our system, the SCADA system then sends an alarm to our city staff, allowing us to respond quickly. Now, the current system has been in place for the past 27 years, and replacement hardware is no longer available. The system is in need of a major upgrade and expansion due to its age and the expansion of our water system itself. Now, Emerson Process Management installed the initial system and has provided the city with excellent support and technical assistance since the installation. Therefore, it's staff's recommendation that the City Council approve an agreement with Emerson in the amount of $362,270 and authorize contingencies in the amount of $37,730. That concludes my report on this item, Mayor.
Thank you, Jose, and I apologize for skipping it. Questions of staff? Any questions from the audience? Okay, if none, a motion would be appropriate. Oh, yes, go ahead, come up. I apologize, I didn't see you.
Thank you. My name is Kathy Bradley. I am the account executive for Emerson Process Management. I came here with my colleagues. One is our senior engineer who's been working with the city for over 20 years, myself for 17 years. And we wanted to be available in case there were any questions. This is a technical proposal that we've presented, and if you have any questions, we'd like to be available for those questions.
Well, thank you very much for being here this evening. Yeah, I'm a bit familiar with SCADA because of the percolation basins and the contract with IEUA, how they monitor those. So do we have any questions of our guests? Okay, well, thank you for coming this evening and being so patient.
Sure, thank you.
Hey, there's a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second from Councilman George. And the item passes unanimously. That's pretty impressive that our equipment's 27 years old.
Yeah, it's been tough keeping it going, but we're managing. Thank you very much.
Especially with the upgrade of technology. Okay, now item number 17, agreement with RC Foster Corporation, water treatment services for well number 16.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Effective January 1st of 2018, the city will be required to monitor its potable water system for 1,2,3-trichloropropane, or also known as 1,2,3-TCP. And this is to comply with the maximum contaminant level, and it will be 5 parts per trillion. Our test results for our groundwater produced by our wells indicate that we do have this contaminant in concentrations that will require treatment. Because our existing treatment facilities are not designed to treat for this type of contaminant, we do need to add additional treatment capabilities to our existing facilities. Although monitoring and treatment of this MCL is not required until January of 2018, staff is proposing to move forward now and to add the required treatment capabilities to our system. Our approach is to add an interim treatment capabilities while we design and construct the permanent facilities. This approach will ensure that our water quality continues to meet all of the state requirements. The city will need to add this new treatment capability to our Benson and Eastside facilities, as well as the existing Well 16 treatment facility, which is also located on the same side as the Eastside facility. Before you tonight for consideration is just the Well 16 treatment facility that we're asking for. Staff located a local vendor and has the ability to lease this to us, and it's shelf-ready, it's skid-mounted, and this treatment device can be installed quickly. By taking this approach, staff can then start the permitting process with the state's Division of Drinking Water to permit this new treatment process. And if we start now, this new facility will be operational by December, prior to the requirement for us to start testing of our water. In parallel with this project, staff will bring to you 2 other lease contracts for the 2 other facilities, which are the Benson and the Eastside facility, the larger facilities. Therefore, it's staff's recommendation that the city award a contract to R.C. Foster in the amount of $611,399 and $38,601 for extraordinary work in case it's needed. Staff is recommending that this urgent approach due to the short time frame that the state has given us to start testing of our water. That concludes my report on this item.
Okay. Again, this is not a public hearing. Are there any comments from the audience or questions? Okay. Questions of staff or comments? Mr. George.
Jose, you probably said, maybe I missed it. Where is well number 16 located?
It's on the East Side facility site, which is in the city of Ontario off of Schaefer Avenue, east of Euclid.
It's in the city of Ontario?
Yes, it is.
The newest one that was constructed.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Howie.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of a shame that we have to spend this money, and I understand there's going to be a lot of treatment going on. We're going to have to put forward. But I'm glad we're getting a jump on this right now, and it's a shame that we haven't had much time. Normally we get more time to do these things, and all of a sudden they just hit us with, a few months. We have to come into compliance, so I'm glad we're getting on this right away. Okay.
I think the amazing thing, though, is 5 parts per trillion. I can't even imagine what that is, let alone test for it. But I'm glad we're being proactive. So thank you very much for that. Okay. More money. Motion would be appropriate. I know it. Motion from Councilman Elrod, second from Mayor Pro Tem Howie. And this item also passes unanimously. Public safety is important. Item number 18, award a professional services agreement for engineering and design services, project number ST-162. Staff report will once again be provided by Mr. O'Leary.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. On October 18th of 2016, the City Council awarded the 1516 Street Rehabilitation Project. As part of this project, the contractor was to construct 45 wheelchair ramps compliant with the Americans with Disability Act for the city's standard plans. But due to challenges that many of our contractors have had in experiencing constructing these type of ramps, staff is recommending a detailed design for each of these ramps, and that way we make sure we do the best we can to come into compliance and we don't have any issues with construction out in the field. Therefore, it's staff's recommendation that the City Council award a construction contract to IDS Group of Irvine, California in the amount of $133,695 and authorize contingencies in case things happen while we're in design in the amount of $20,054. That concludes my report on this item.
Jose, are these for existing ramps that have to be redone or brand new ramps where they don't exist?
The requirements are when we do a street project now, grind and overlay, that we bring these ramps into compliance with the Americans with Disability Act. So they're out there existing today, but they're not compliant. And as soon as we go in and do a project, we have to bring them into compliance. So that's why we want to move forward with this design work. So they're existing out there today.
So they're not brand new ramps, they're just corrected ramps?
Correct.
Well, not just, but okay. Any comments or questions from the audience? Okay, questions of staff from the council? Stubby smiling. Okay, then a motion would be appropriate. Motion from Councilman George, second from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, and the item passes unanimously. Item number 19, award of professional services agreement, KEC Engineers. Mr. O'Leary.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. The city sewer master plan for the preserve requires a lift station south of Pine and along Johnson Road. This lift station is also included in the preserve's development impact fee program. A developer in the preserve has been conditioned to construct this lift station. The design has been completed, the project has been properly bid, and the contract has been awarded by the developer. The contract before you tonight is for specialized inspection services for this facility on behalf of the City of Chino. Staff released an RFP for these services, and KEC Engineers of Chino, California was ranked the highest. Therefore, it's staff's recommendation that the City Council award this contract to KEC in the amount of $267,750 for these inspection services. That concludes my report on this item.
Is this amount covered by developer fees, or is it out of our general fund?
These, we collect inspection fees from developers, and this is covered, when this project comes through to us, it's covered by those inspection fees, which, you know, are part of the general fund as well.
Okay. Any questions? Anyone in the audience that would like to ask any questions? Okay, seeing none. Questions of staff by council?
Yeah, just a quick comment. I'm glad KEC got, I love seeing Chino businesses get these contracts from the city of Chino. So thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, motion please. Motion from Councilman George, second from Councilman Elrod, and the item passes unanimously. Item number 20, award of contract streetlight maintenance. This is to award a contract to Floresco Services. Mr. O'Leary.
Thank you. The current streetlight maintenance services contract expires on June 30th, so in 10 days. Staff prepared specifications and released an RFP for these services. Proposals were received, and Floresco Services of Pomona, California was ranked the highest and was also the lowest cost, so we got lucky on that one. Therefore, it's staff's recommendation that the City Council award the contract to Floresco in the amount of $44,185 and authorize contingencies in the amount of $100,000 for this project, or these services, maintenance services. That concludes my report on this item, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. O'Leary, why would the contingency be more than the contract?
I knew someone would ask me that question.
Of course you did.
It's the old unknown. Many times we have knockdowns of these street light poles due to accidents, and we can't predict whether it's 0, 1, or 20 in 1 year. We have vandalism of the electrical wire that connects them all. Believe it or not, pull boxes have been opened, wires cut, and they hook it up to the bumper of their truck, and they took off with it to take the copper. We have to go in and re-engineer everything, or if the service pedestal that provides all the electricity for all the lights gets taken out by an accident, we have to address those, and we never know. So Kurt Powell usually budgets this amount. Our goal is not to use a penny of it, but it's good to have it there when these things occur to us.
Is that amount based on historical expenses?
Yeah, again, you know,
kind of a guess?
It's hit or miss, but yeah, that's basically what we've done in the past.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Seeing none, any questions of staff from the council or comments? Motion, please. Motion from Councilman Elrod, second from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, and it passes unanimously. Item number 21, award of contract street striping and pavement marking services. Mr. O'Leary, boy, you're busy tonight.
Excuse me, I can tell you the department's been very busy, as you can certainly see here, but yet again, this contract expires June 30th, and we prepared specifications, released an RFP again. That's what we're required to do when these contracts expire per our ordinance. And so we released this RFP. J&S Striping of Ontario, California was ranked the highest and the lowest cost as well. Therefore, staff's recommendation again is to award it to J&S in the amount of $208,500.19. That concludes my report on this one.
19 cents, okay. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Questions or comments? Motion, please. Motion from Councilman Elrod, second from Councilman George, and it passes unanimously. And item number 22, award of contract landscape maintenance services for maintenance districts. Mr. O'Leary.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Sounding like a broken record, I know. Again, this contract expires June 30th. Again, we prepared specifications for these landscape maintenance services, and this is for our maintenance districts. I just do want to point that out. So we released an RFP. Proposals were received, and Merchant Landscape Services of Rancho Cucamonga was ranked the highest and the lowest cost. Staff again recommends to the City Council award this contract to Merchant in the amount of $503,806.70. That concludes my report on this item.
Thank you very much. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Comments or questions? Motion, please. I sound like a broken record. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second from Councilman Elrod, and the item passes unanimously. Item number 23, Mr. O'Leary, award of contract landscaping, landscape maintenance services for parks and public facilities.
This contract also expires June 30th. We had to go through the process, releasing the RFP. CLS Landscape Management of Rancho Cucamonga was ranked the highest, and therefore staff's recommending that we award this contract to CLS in the amount of $649, $449, and 33 cents, and authorize $85,500 in extraordinary on this contract.
Aren't they from Chino?
Yeah, they're from
I'm sorry. Did I say Rancho? Yes, Chino.
Yes.
I'm going too fast. My apologies.
Okay, anyone in the audience who would like to ask the council a question on this item or comment? Seeing none, council comments?
Just one. The CLS, I see them, I see them all over the city, but especially in my neighborhood, they're doing a phenomenal job, and I'm glad that it's going this direction.
Motion, please. Motion from Councilman George, second from Councilman Elrod. And the item passes unanimously. Okay. Mayor and council reports. Okay, we have two action items. The first is Community Support Fund. The council has allotted to it $5,000 each to distribute among the community nonprofits, and I did not allocate all of my funds, so in order to do so, I'm asking for approval of the following community support contributions to be expended from the Community Support Program: $500 to Chino National Little League, $500 to American Little League, $500 to Chino Fast Pitch, $500 to Chino Pop Warner, and $500 toward the Kiwanis Bunko. Motion, please. Motion from Mayor Pro Tem Howie, second from Councilman Elrod. And the item passes unanimously. And then another action item is from Mayor Pro Tem Howie.
Yes, thank you, Eunice. And again, the same thing what you said. But I'm asking for three items, and that is $500 to the Kiwanis Summer Concerts, $1,000 to the Chino Neighborhood House, and $1,000 to the Chino YMCA.
Okay. Motion from Mayor Yoloa, oops. And second from Councilman George, and the item passed unanimously. I voted too soon. Okay, as far as my report is concerned, first, come on out for our All-American Bingo and Barbecue event on Tuesday, June 27th from 2 to 5 at the Chino Senior Center. located at 13170 Central Avenue. All of those in attendance will have the opportunity to play exciting bingo, followed by a delicious barbecue dinner at only $20 a person. Tickets must be purchased in advance, and all those wishing to play bingo must be 21 or older. For more information, please call 909-334-3271. Also, make sure you mark your calendars for our annual fireworks spectacular show on Saturday, July 1st at Ayala Park, 14225 Central Avenue. All festivities include rides, games, and great food will be available starting at 3 p.m. with musical entertainment and military recognitions beginning at 5 and 7 p.m. respectively. Lastly, our very own outstanding fireworks show will begin at 9 p.m. This is always one of the most anticipated and well-attended events, so please make sure you come out and join us in celebrating the birth of our nation. For more information, please call 909-334-3258. And then this past 2 weeks, I attended the Omnitrans and San Bernardino County Transportation Authority Board of Directors on June 7th. Thursday, we had Glenn Duncan's retirement luncheon. That turned out very, very nice. Rita did a fabulous job with the decorating, and there were several very, very sincere, very nice presentations for Glenn and Cindy. And then that evening, I attended the San Bernardino County Transportation Authority General Assembly event, which was well attended by dignitaries throughout the county. It was very interesting as well. And please be safe this 4th of July. Illegal fireworks are not allowed, so please restrain yourself. Safe and sane, of course, is allowed within the city of Chino. Nothing, though, can be set off, so to speak, at public parks. So please be careful for 4th of July. Councilman Elrod.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to comment on Glenn Duncan's luncheon. I want to compliment staff. That video that we did in-house was actually excellent. I mean, you don't realize how much somebody does till you follow them around town in a car.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a brilliant video. And Glenn deserved it. He does a lot, probably still does a lot. We don't even know about it. But he did a lot for this community.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to miss him. Not Tom, but
Hopefully I'm still
who do you go to coffee with in the morning now, do you?
I don't know, but I'm missing Glenn, I'll tell you right now. It's kind of quiet.
Yeah. But no, that was a great event, and I really enjoyed the video. I thought that was a real different type thing on it, so that concludes my report.
Tom?
Yes, thanks. On June 8th, I attended the Chino DeSalter Authority meeting, and then on the 14th, the Chino Fire Board meeting, where our fire chief was recognized for his accomplishment of attending, I can't remember the exact wording of the National Fire Academy Executive Management something. It was a big, long title, but the chief worked very hard, and I guess it's not just one little 2-day seminar. It's a whole bunch of different classes and hours and hours and hours of work. So congratulations to you for that. There's not very many people in California that have attained that particular designation, so congratulations to you. Also a Chino DeSalter Authority Finance meeting on the 15th, and last week was the summer concert series kicked off in Chino. It was a little warm last Thursday night, to say the least. I think that we could have cooked our corn by just throwing it on the pavement. It would have probably just cooked by itself. But it was good. And again, we got next 5 weeks, every Thursday night, 7 to 9 in front of City Hall. Come to the summer concerts. I think the Santana band is this week, tomorrow night. And that's always a good, and it probably only be 97 or 90, you know, it won't be that bad. It cools down at night. And I want to wish everybody a safe 4th of July. Remember, if you shoot those things off that go in the air, it could cost you $1,000, so don't do that. And be safe, everybody. And I kind of felt that we had a gentleman tonight who had he's having that Plains of Fame, big dinner the same night as we're having our huge fireworks show. Maybe next year they'll figure a better time than not having it, because all the council, we always go to our big picnic in the park for the 4th of July, which is on the 1st of July. Okay, so just remind everybody. So thank you. That's it.
Councilman George.
Thank you. On the 7th, along with Mayor Pro Tem Tom Howie, We attended a town hall meeting. Sandra Rose invited us to the town hall meeting to discuss the ACLU. It was a really eye-opening and interesting meeting. The chief's name was brought up several times, all positive, of course. And it was an interesting evening. A lot of great questions were asked, and I think that they are very satisfied with the way our police department is handling the very sensitive issues that are coming up daily. On the 13th, attended the CIM-CIW Oversight Board meeting. On the 15th, again, as we all did, the Glenn Duncan's retirement lunch, which was phenomenal, and Rita did do a fantastic job. That was really, really well done, especially the bingo card. And by the way, he almost didn't win. We had to push the things on for him, or Cindy did.
She had to telling me.
Yeah, no wonder he lost all those games in a row. I don't know if he's. I don't know if he's coming back for this next bingo thing that you talked about, but I doubt it. On the 15th, did I read this? No, on the 15th, attended the Chino Community Center Oversight Committee meeting, and also on the 15th, along with Tom, Concert on the Lawn. Eclipse Rewound was the group. And then on the 19th, the planning commission meeting, which was like a normal planning commission meeting. It was kind of interesting. It was fun to attend. That it was just like normal stuff came up. And then I'm pretty sure that this is going to be covered by our city manager, but just and talk about the appointment that's coming up. But I just would like to have seen some information in the Chino Champion about the upcoming appointment, which is due the 21st. Yeah. I mean, we talk about it here, and it's on Channel 3 and on Channel 32, and I know there's thousands and thousands of people that watch that, and or here at the city council meeting, because there's like thousands and thousands of people that attend these meetings. So, but it would have been, yeah, that's right. But it would have been, I think, a good article in the Champion. On the last thing I'd like to say is just, because I think this is our last one before July the 11th, and I encourage everyone, whichever direction you're going, because this was an interesting evening. So I heard, people heard both sides, have heard both sides, but I just encourage everybody to vote. I'd like to see the entire city on this thing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, it was disappointing that the Champion didn't have an article about the opening council seat, and it was there. I guess none of us saw it. Well, that's bizarre. Okay. Well, to review, it's for District 1, and applications are due by 5:30 tomorrow evening. Correct. And we have received 5 so far, which is a surprise because how many were at 27 applications were for my old seat. Very interesting. So either people have gotten tired, they're on vacation, or I don't know. It was very interesting. Yeah. Okay, City Manager Ballantyne.
I think the council covered the majority of everything I was going to cover. The summer concerts, again, I hope everybody comes out for that and sees Santana and unload the corn. Otherwise, I'm stuck with a case of corn. Right. And we have many more concerts, but I want to thank Kiwanis for hosting that. I think it's wonderful, and all the proceeds go back into our community. So it's important that folks patronage those vendors. Mm-hmm. Secondly, as the council reported, we have received, as of today, 5 applications for those who want to serve on the city council, and I would encourage those folks that would like that opportunity to please submit their application. Again, they're due tomorrow by 5:30, and you want to submit those to the city clerk's office.
But they have to live in District 1.
That's correct. They have to live in District 1, which is in the northwest corner of the city. Thank you. And we have posted a map that shows that district. If anybody has any questions, please call the administration office, and we'll certainly take care of you, and we can identify whether or not you live within District 1.
Want to give them a phone number?
I'll give you my number. which my staff will typically pick up, which is 909 334-3302. Again, that's 909-334-3302. Thank you.
I hope a lot of people call you.
Yeah.
My staff's ready to answer.
A variety of subjects.
Yeah. Mr. Galante, any report this evening?
Nothing from me, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Chief Comstock.
Thank you, Mayor. Just briefly, I would like to echo your sentiments on the July 4th holiday that's upcoming. We're not going to have another council meeting before we go into both the Centennial Celebration on the 1st, which is a great fireworks show. We hope everybody comes out and enjoys that. But certainly on July 4th, we want you to celebrate our nation's birthday responsibly. It is, without a doubt, one of the busiest days of the year for the Chino Police Department. We will handle hundreds of calls within about a 5 to 7 hour time period. We'll be very busy. If you do call the police department to report illegal fireworks or the improper use of safe and sane fireworks, which is also a violation of law, or the improper use of fireworks into certain locations within the city, all that is posted at our safe and sane fireworks booths. So if you have questions about where fireworks are or are not permitted, they're not permitted in our parks, they're not permitted in our commercial business centers, please check before you use safe and sane fireworks. Illegal fireworks are a $1,000 fine in the city of Chino, and on July 4th, we will have a large contingency of personnel working on that evening, not just police officers, but evidence technicians, professional support staff to help us process that night along with the fire department. If you get caught with illegal fireworks that evening, expect to get a citation. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have about our deployment.
No questions, just comments. It's already starting.
Yes,
the
it is.
illegal fireworks are already starting.
Yes, we're getting
Just
complaints about them
amazing.
already, Mayor. I am working on a public education piece with the Chino Champion right now. We are also covertly conducting enforcement of illegal fireworks sales, to which we have been quite successful. So our officers are actually out there enforcing those laws presently. In fact, we successfully obtained a sale and an arrest of a person selling illegal fireworks just this evening while we're in this meeting.
Fantastic. Well, it goes back to if you see something, say something.
That's
too.
correct. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Chief Shackelford.
Good evening once again. I just want to echo what Chief Comstock commented on with the fireworks. Our personnel participated in the San Bernardino County Fireworks Interdiction Program at the Yermo Agriculture Checkpoint. In one Saturday afternoon, they confiscated 6,600 pounds of illegal fireworks coming into our county. So in addition to all the issues with fines and being cited and everything else, there are obviously some safety concerns. We're in fire season as well. Please celebrate safely and try to limit the mix of adult beverages and fireworks. And again, only safe and sane fireworks are allowed in the city of Chino. If you have any questions, please contact our Fire Prevention Bureau, and they can provide additional information on what fireworks are allowed in the city of Chino and the locations as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And
Just, I'd like to make one comment, and I apologize to the champion if it was there. I mean, I went through the paper twice, didn't find it at all. I'm sorry, where did you say it was?
It was, I believe, 2 weeks ago's issue.
2 weeks ago.
With the, I believe it was with the Steve McQueen car show coverage, so you might have been blinded by the bright pink car in the lower left-hand corner. But it was under the headline, no special election for Duncan, to replace Duncan, I believe, was the headline. And it was on the right-hand column.
And it had all the dates?
We read it to Mr. McCombs, because he had the same comment, and so we know it was in there, we double-checked it.
All right, thank you.
No, not a problem.
okay, due to the next regular meeting falling on the 4th of July, the City Council will cancel this meeting and will conduct the next regular City Council meeting on Tuesday, July 18th, 2017 at 7:00 p.m. with closed session at 6 if necessary. Furthermore, the city may call a special meeting on July 12th to conduct interviews for the purposes of filling the existing council vacancy in District 1. So with that, we are adjourned.